Welcome to Sunday Inspiration. I'm Vicki Haddock. And I wanted to create a place for you to connect to your soul and understand that you can transcend all perceived limits in your life. I've learned that the faster you get past what's holding you back, the stronger you become and the braver you are at taking the next leap. And then the higher you rise and create more freedom than you dreamed possible. Connect to your soul's inner longing, be guided by it, and let go of the weight that's holding you back, and ignite the fire in your soul. What Eiffel Tower-sized thing does your soul want you to do? When you become fearless, you become limitless. Now, prepare to be inspired as I share this week's life journey of one person that has inspired me. Thank you for joining me for Sunday Inspiration. This is the fourth conversation in a series of conversations we've been doing on toxic relationships, how to identify them, heal from them, recover from them, and then our conversation today is about living your one best life after them. Our very first conversation a couple weeks ago was on 10 characteristics to identify toxic relationships. And when I talk about toxic relationships, I'm talking about verbal abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, and even physical abuse. Although when we experience physical abuse, there's usually more proof to say, I know I was hit in the eye, I have a bruise on my cheek, so I know that happened. And in the other forms of abuse, we don't have that proof that it's happening. We can say or sense and know that something is not right, but often the piece of the manipulation comes in for the abuser to say, no, it's not really that way, and to manipulate you into thinking a different way. So I encourage you, if you need more information on how to identify, go back to that conversation on the 10 characteristics to identify a toxic relationship. And then in the next conversation, we talked to Sonias Journey, who is conscious uncoupling coach from the United Kingdom, where we talked about that process of identifying and leaving relationships. And then our third conversation was again with Sonias on how to begin healing from them. And today I want to talk to you about living your one wild, wonderful life and not allowing things that happened in the past to hold you back and keep you stuck as a victim. I work with many different types of clients in my work as a life and business coach, and they meet me when something in their life is typically they're working to create something in their life, and they either need accountability and support to do that, or they feel stuck in something in their life and they're trying to figure out how to get unstuck to get on to what they really, really want. And what I found, the common element in all of those things is when we're looking to live life at a larger level, it requires a deeper and deeper personal foundation from us. So if we're looking to just show up in the world in a small way, then our foundation doesn't need to be super deep, But when we have a heart and a desire to show up in the world in a bigger way, many of you have that desire deep in your heart that says, I know I was meant for something greater than what I'm doing right now. And you feel that desire in there. And probably many of you have tried to ignore that desire. But that's there for a reason. It's planted in you for a reason, because you were meant to do something more. You were meant to have a purpose in life and to live that. And the experiences that you've had have led you up to this time is for such a time as being able to own your authentic purpose in life and grow. But just like a tree, the bigger a tree grows, the higher it grows, the thicker the branches it grows, the more roots it needs deep down in the ground to sustain that growth. So I work with people on this analogy, and I call it building their Eiffel Tower size life, living their one authentic life and dreams. Because when they built the Eiffel Tower, they had to first dig deep and build this foundation. And then that foundation had to be deep enough to sustain how high they wanted to build the tower. Well, in real life for us, it looks a little bit different than building a foundation first and then building something on top of it. In real life, it looks like doing those things at the same time. It's kind of where personal spiritual development meets business or dream development. So this idea that we come out of toxic relationships and we have healed, we've done a lot of healing work, we've done a lot of getting on past that. And then you're working to develop something in your life, your dream, your business, whatever it is, and you hit a block. You hit a block and you're like, why is this not happening for me? What's keeping me stuck? What am I doing wrong? Or maybe you're in a loop of self-sabotage where every time I get here, I know I do something and it takes me down here. So this is the place where I meet people. And the curious thing is, it goes back to the conversation that Sonia and I had in one of our, in either series 2 or 3. I don't remember which episode it was in, but she talked about how when she left her toxic marriage, she was focused on healing from that situation. But what she eventually realized was the hurts from that situation were way deeper. The hurts went back to very early in her childhood years. And it was those hurts that needed to be healed before she could really expand to her fullest level. And that is like the rock that we hit in the foundation when we're digging deep. So in this outer world in life, when you're working to create something, whether it's a great relationship with your spouse, it's a great relationship with your kids, it's a business, it's financial freedom and security, whatever it is, when we feel like we're hitting up against something and stuck and not moving forward, it's a sign that there's a rock that we need to dig down deeper in our foundation and dig out. And when we're able to look inward instead of looking outward and blaming all the people and situations around us, but when we own that, take responsibility and look inward and look deeper, then we can see those rocks and we can begin chipping away at them and even getting bigger and bigger leverage to just pop those suckers out of there and get rid of them. That's when resources are important. What resources do you have to do that? And it's really when ideally you need to work with a coach. You need to work with someone who's trained at helping you dig into those rocks. Because here's what a lot of us do, and I've done this myself, where I've dug in the soil. I'm like, I know something's going on down there. I need to figure it out. And I dig over here, and I dig over here, and I dig over here. But here's the thing. I don't dig in the one area that really needs dug in, because it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts, and I don't want to. So I'm not going to willingly dig there on my own. But guess what? That's the exact place that I need to be digging and need to go. So when you work with a coach or a therapist or someone who's trained in helping you dig deep into this foundational stuff and make shifts and transformations, they can help guide you and lead you compassionately to look at those things and move them on up and out. And every level that we seek to go and expand higher and higher in our outward life is a level that when we then have to dig deeper in our inward life. So a year ago, I left the corporate world to create my business full-time as a coach. And here's the thing, I was doing pretty good in my world as an employee, receiving a secure paycheck and all the things that we know and expect to happen around being an employee. And I knew consciously that when I made that transition to being a full-time entrepreneur, that there were going to be things come up for me that I couldn't anticipate. I knew there was going to be rocks in the foundation that I needed to dig up and work with to get past that transition into being a successful entrepreneur. And those things did come, and sometimes they surprised me that they came. But I am surrounded by some awesome coaches and support people who help me to authentically look at that. So some of the rocks that I had to look at was security, looking at, okay, what's life look like when you're an entrepreneur and your paycheck doesn't regularly get deposited in your bank account every 2 weeks? And it's not about the money. It's not about the dollars. It's about, where does my security lie? Which is a much deeper question. That when we're an employee and we get our money deposited in our account every week, we don't have to ask ourselves that question. We don't have to dig deep and say, what's the source of my security? But on a new journey, it was a question I was ready to challenge myself to become secure with, and knowing that my security doesn't lie in the dollars being deposited in my bank account every week. My security lies in the fact that I know I'm being guided at a higher level to live and express my gifts and talents in the world as a coach. And the more I leaned into that, embraced that, and embraced learning this lesson of security, the more that physical security took shape and is taking shape in new ways in my life. But I've created space to allow that to come in and take shape as my business grows and develops and more paying clients come on. It takes shape. So that's what I'm here to challenge you. But also to know that when we hit those bumps in our outward world, it's reflecting and tying back deeper to the inward world and hurts. So many of the clients, when I meet them on this path of I'm working to create something in my life and it's not happening, my goal is two things. We're going to connect them to their own inner guidance system, and we're going to deeply do some healing work to heal the stuff that's holding them back. Because those two things, being connected to your own intuitive guidance system, whether you call that intuition, whether you call that spirit, whether you call that God, the universe, whatever it is, connected to that source that's always available for you 24/7 to get 100% guidance from, that is powerful. When you know you're connected to that source, then you always have the ability to find answers to your questions at any moment. And you also then have the ability to begin looking deep at these hurts. So the clients that I work with, they come away from their sessions being powerful, and the common words I hear are, I've never allowed myself to go back to that space where I just went with you. And I know that's the space I needed to go to bring healing. They've never allowed themselves to look at these deep hurts and relationships that quite often stem in their early ages, before the ages of 7 years old, where deep hurts have happened. And even myself on my journey, as I left a toxic marriage, that was the catalyst for me to begin doing my own inner work and self-change, because I was determined I didn't ever want to go through that experience again. And I wanted to be a role model, to role model things differently for my kids. So that got me started on this journey. But now, as my journey is expanding and sharing that light and that learning at new levels in my life, it requires me to dig into even my world, to those things that happened early in my world that were hurts that still needed healing and attention. We can be very dismissive of our own hurts, and we can justify that so many people have had greater hurts than us, that they deserve to be hurt, but I don't deserve to be hurt and own my hurt. And let me tell you, if that's where you're at today, you're doing yourself a great disservice. And I give you the permission today to own the hurts that are happening inside of you. I give you permission to feel everything that was taken away from you, to feel every bit of sorrow that happened around any painful situation in your life. And it's only by feeling and experience those emotions and feelings that we then can release that. When we have resisted those emotions and feelings and resisted going there and not dealt with it, those emotions and feelings literally get packed into the cellular structure of our body. And until we find the space and the ability to release those things out of our body, we can't really fully know and be and show up in this world as the people who we're meant to be. And that's the deep foundational work that I'm talking about here. But here's the cool thing, and here's the great news, is there is a bottom for that healing. You can find and experience complete healing, and you can find and experience complete 100% connection to your inner spirit and your intuition and guidance. And then what's left after that is just pure expansion and growth into being this authentic person who you're meant to be. Deep inside of us, each of us is a seed planted of our authentic purpose in this world. For you, that might mean just shining your light in your workspace where you're at. Or it might mean creating a business that allows you to take your gifts and talents to a level to serve people. And you know what? At this time in our world, there's never been a time of greater need of people to be served and connected on new levels. So here's the thing. That work can feel uncomfortable. It can feel scary. And we can be okay with that. We can say, you know what? I know it's going to be uncomfortable. I know it's going to be scary, but I know I don't have to fear it, and I can do it anyway. I can do it anyway. And that's the place that when we get to that place where we're comfortable to face the discomfort that growth brings about, that is so healing, because then there's no place you can't go. There's no place you can't grow to, because we then recognize that discomfort is part of that growth process, and it's only going to last while we grow through to that next level. But each new level we hit, there's going to be a period of some discomfort as we stretch and grow to yet another new level. So the more comfortable you can get with the discomfort of moving through growth, the more powerful you can embrace and welcome and invite in anything that you desire to do in your world. So how do you begin doing that? Well, here's 2 opportunities that you have to do that. Beginning in May, I'm offering a series called Ignite Your Life. It's a personal foundation series where you can begin to really strengthen the fibers of your personal foundation. The things that we're going to look at in there are the key things that I see in my clients that they need to works on strengthening first so that they can grow to greater levels. Those things are unhooking from overhelping. There's so many of us out there that we love to help and we love to give, but we do that from a space that depletes us instead of energizes us. So until we get that flipped around, where we can give and energize and nurture our own needs and receive what we need, we can't really full up in the world as who we're meant to be. So unhooking from overhelping. We're going to talk about self-care and boundaries. What does that really look like? And how do we set really good, strong boundaries so that we have beautiful, protective spaces to grow in? What do you value? What are the values that drive your life? Because when we understand the things that are so important to us, that they drive how we make decisions, then we have the power. It unlocks the power for us to easily make decisions in any circumstance moving forward in our life. And then we're going to look at what are the things we're tolerating in our world. Oh my gosh, we all have the tendency to put up with things that aren't serving us anymore. One, maybe we don't know how to deal with them. Two, we've just been ignoring them and putting them off. And three, it's time to learn strategies to quit tolerating things, because the things we're tolerating are like energy leaks in our bucket. And when you think about your life force, if it has holes poked in it all over, you just have energy draining out in many different ways. And it's no wonder you don't have the energy to create what you want to create in your world. So we're going to talk about plugging those holes by learning to not have a toleration-free world where we're at peace with everything in our world. And then raising our standards and expectations. Expectations get us into a lot of trouble when we have unhealthy expectations that we put on other people. In fact, it's probably the cause of almost every conflict that we have out there, is when we've placed an expectation on someone and we don't have a shared expectation. We've placed our expectation on someone else. So we're going to learn the healthy, positive side of expectations and standards, because that also does determine how people treat us and what we accept and allow in our own world. So those are the things we're going to talk about. It's a 6-lesson series that is going to be super enlightening for you. So that is your greatest opportunity to do that. And then in June, coming up, I'm going to have a Launch Your Greatest Destiny cohort. It's going to be a smaller group of people really coming together to grow their vision and their dreams to the next level, whether that's a business or some type of a dream that you're ready to grow, and you're ready to do the personal foundation work to grow that dream, and you're ready to be committed and consistent in growing that dream. That's going to be a 6-month journey that we're going to take together as a small group. So those are 2 opportunities that you have coming up to really, wherever you're at on this journey, whether it's just strengthening your own personal foundation so that you can then own your authentic dream and purpose, or whether it's taking that authentic dream and purpose to the next level, we've got opportunities coming up for you to do both. Thank you for being here on this series and this journey. I'd love to hear how it's impacted your life. So please reach out to me. You can find me at Transcending Limits on Facebook and on Instagram. And our Transcending Limits website is tslimits.com. TS for transcendinglimits.com. And you can always shoot me an email at Vicki@tslimits.com. So excited you've been here with me on this journey, and now it's time to take life to a new level. So let's go do it. Have a great rest of your day.